We are back for the second last live PigTalk episode, and we are at the Nampu Harvest Day, the Nampu Expo, and we are in the PIC Pig Complex in the PIC stand. So for every one of you walking by, hello, and thank you for tuning in. For those of you that's listening online, hello to you as well, and I hope that you enjoy this episode of the Big Talk. So this episode, I'm going to talk to Dr. Albert Skitter. Albert, welcome here on the couch.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Marguerite. It's a privilege to be here.
Albert is the technical manager for PIC Africa. So the topic that we are going to discuss is the 5 pillars of pig farming, or in other words, the 5 fundamentals that must be in place for a successful pig farmer and an efficient pig farmer. Albert, I'm going to start off to ask you, what are those 5 pillars that must be in place?
Yeah, Marguerite, in short, that means that it's about the environment, then about genetics and nutrition and health, and then lastly but not least, management.
Okay, so we are going to drill down into all 5 of those pillars. At the end of this interview, I'm going to ask 5 fire questions to Albert as well. Albert, let's start at the first pillar, the environment. What is a typical ideal environment for a pig?
Yeah, that's actually, there's a lot to say about that, but let's broadly say it's about indoor or outdoor farming. And you can farm outdoor with pigs, but you must just know that your efficiencies won't be that you are looking for. So most people, the commercial farmers, it's big commercial farms that's in-house, and that is, you are trying to simulate an environment that's good for the pigs. If you can keep the pigs happy, then or healthy and happy, then they will be producing well.
Yes.
So that's basically what the environment is about. It's let's say indoor farming. It's about houses with good ceilings, good insulation, and then enough floor space, and then enough drinking nipples for water. No, not more than, let's say, 10 piglets or pigs per water nipple. And then feeder space also, they must eat as many as they can, as much as they can, and therefore you need enough feeder space. We are talking for, let's say, weaners, that's now between 4 and 10 weeks of age, of about 3 centimeters of feeder space per piglet. If they grow older, let's say up to 22 weeks of age, you will need about 5 centimeters of feeder space per piglet or per pig at that stage. So, let's say it's about 58 centimeters of feeder space per pig in that pen, and 8 of them should share one feeder space.
Okay.
Maybe I must say something about the ventilation and so on. So, the more modern buildings will have extractor fans and cooling pads. It's sort of like air conditioning, and they will have windows. We will have curtains that can close the windows, and if you can have a curtain controller that can regulate the airflow, it's even better. Then you can maybe go without extractor fans.
Can you believe pigs can also have curtain controllers and air cons in their houses? Albert, talking about, you said the indoor farming and the outdoor farming and the ventilation and so on, it lets me think about temperature. Obviously, that's different temperature, and pigs at different ages require different temperatures. How important is that, and what is the optimal temperature for the pigs?
Yeah, temperature is so important. If we talk about sows and so on, and even the other pigs, the grower pigs, if it's too hot, they will not eat as much, and then they won't grow enough. And the sows, if they don't enjoy the environment, they will eat less. Let's say in the farrowing house, they will produce less milk. So temperature is so important. So let's start with the small piglets. Yeah, a piglet at birth, he's coming from an environment that's probably about 30 to 35, 58 to 38 and a half degrees Celsius. Now he's, let's say, out in the open. So it's good if you have a heat source, an infrared lamp or heater that can heat up that microclimate there where the piglet arrives with birth. Let's say 35 degrees at that stage. Then during the first 4 weeks in the farrowing house, it can go down to, let's say, 28 degrees, or let's say roughly 30 degrees during the first 4 weeks of life. Then they will move on to a winter facility where they still need extra heat. Let's start there at, after 4 weeks at let's say 28 degrees. Then it can go down to about 24 degrees. And then at 10 weeks of age, they will move out to a grower finisher facility where the temperature can go down to about 20 degrees. So the aim of all of these is to get them as comfortable as possible. If they are comfortable, they will eat well, they will drink enough water, and they will produce well.
There's a lot going into it. It's not just putting your pigs into a house. It's about monitoring their temperature to get the best out of them and have them at the most comfortable position. So I want to go on to the second pillar, which is genetics. And why is genetics important for an economical, efficient piggery?
Yeah, thanks for asking about genetics because in essence we are a genetic company.
Yeah.
PIC or Pig Improvement Company. So our middle name is Improvement. So we have to live up to that name. Yeah, genetics, it's so important. It's not like some other farm animals where a female can grow up and become a producing female for the farm. In a piggery, not all females will be destined to be mothers in the end. Lots of them will just go to the abattoir.
Yeah.
So we are talking about dam lines and sire lines. The sire lines can also be called terminal lines because all their offspring will be going to the slaughterhouse. But then, okay, let's start with the terminal lines. We are looking at traits that's of economic importance, traits that you can measure, and in the third place, traits that's heritable. And then you know that you can make good progress in selecting pigs with those traits. So yeah, the sire lines, we are talking about feed intake, growth rate, like average daily gain, and then the efficiency, like the feed conversion ratio, which we in short will say it's the FCR. We are like looking at traits like that to improve the sire lines. And yeah, also, yeah, that's very important is meat quality.
Yes, that's what it's all about, where it
Yeah,
ends.
because that's actually why we are in
Yes.
pig farming, is to produce the end product, which is meat. So, yeah, we are looking at intermuscular fat, pH, water holding capacity, and yeah, a lot of other traits also, which contribute to meat quality.
The juiciness and the tenderness of that
Yeah.
nice loin chop that you
That's-
are frying.
Yeah, that's also
Yeah.
part of it.
Yes.
And then for the dam lines, we are actually looking at all these traits that I mentioned now for the sire lines. But here we are focusing on maternal traits that can give you the best reproducing cell. So, yeah, we are looking at mothering ability, number of piglets born alive, the survivability of the piglets, and yeah, it's so many things that's important. Maybe the last thing that I can mention there is teeth counts. I was used to, yeah, teeth counts of 12 or more, which was acceptable about 30, 40 years ago. And then it became 14 teats. And nowadays we are talking about 16 or more functional teats per female.
Yeah.
Because the litters are becoming bigger and bigger. And we would like the sow to give enough milk for all the piglets.
Yeah.
You don't want to use milk replacers and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's maybe in short about the two main types, like dam lines and sire or terminal lines.
I'm glad to hear about the teat count because it means that we as a genetics company that do our job in genetic improvement.
Yeah.
Albert, you said about the dam lines and the sire lines. So what are examples of dam lines and sire lines to make it a little bit more understandable for our audience?
Yeah, so on the dam line side, we have two nucleus or two pure lines. That's part of our nucleus herds. And in PIC terms, we are talking about the line 2, which is a landrace, and then a line 3, that is a large white.
Okay.
So we cross those two pure lines, dam lines, and then we will get the F1, which we call a camera.
Okay.
And yeah, that's your best commercial pig to farm all over the world. That's the common name. And those sows will have high born lives, good mothering abilities, and will be very efficient,
Okay.
to mention a few.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the dam lines now. Okay, you ask about the other lines also. The terminal lines within PIC, we have three different terminal lines named the 337, which is a composite breed. But yeah, most of the people on commercial farms are using 337 as the sire line. Then we also have the 410, PIC 410, and then the PIC 800, which is a red Euro.
Okay.
So that's the three terminal lines, all of them eating a lot of feed, growing at a good growth tempo. And yeah, they are very efficient in converting feed into meat. Let's put it that way.
All right, so there you have all the different lines between the terminal lines, the dam lines. We've done now the first two pillars, which was the environment and the genetics. We are going to move over now to the third pillar, which is nutrition. Albert, why is nutrition important? Why can we not just take kitchen offal and feed it to the pigs that generations before us used to do?
Yeah, Marguerite, I'm so glad you asked that, because a pig will eat anything. If you give him food from the kitchen and leftovers and so on, they will eat it.
Yeah.
But they will not necessarily produce well. So for them to produce well, they must get a well-balanced diet. And that makes it so important. So in feeding, we are talking about the protein content, the energy content. I can also add fiber here, the fiber content. And then you are talking about vitamins and minerals. And yeah, in the last place, but it's maybe the most important one, is water.
Yeah.
Which you may think is just something that they need to take in for their first, but that's in all the digestion processes, water is involved.
Yeah.
So it's so important. And with pigs, they are actually using water to cool down also,
Yeah.
because they do not have a lot of functional sweat glands. They are using wetness to cool down, wetness on their skin, or they are drinking water, which should be cool if possible. You shouldn't supply hot water to them. I think that's in short about that.
That is about all the technical things that you can just imagine must go into a ration for a pig. It's not just giving them food. It's about what food and what's the composition. So if I think about humans, babies start off with milk. They go over to solids when solids are introduced, and purities, and later on more solid food and more textured food. So with pigs, what are the different rations that a farmer needs to feed his pigs? It's obviously not a one feed fits all. How does it work?
Yeah. I'm just going to mention a few. You can fine tune a lot on that. But let's say we start off with creek feeding. That's while they are still in the farrowing house, getting milk from their mothers. But you can start, let's say, at day 10 or after birth. And that's they must get used to that feed. Because at 4 weeks of age, you will take them away from their mothers. And then they will have to survive on the dry feed that you are giving them, or you can give it in form of a porridge, also cruel feeding. But it's important for them to get used to the feed so that they don't struggle to adapt to that after weaning. And after the creep phase, you go on to a weaner phase where they will get a weaner diet. And after that, grower finisher diet. And then, if we talk about the cells, they will get the dry cell diet, or we also call it the cell and boar diet, which they will receive during pregnancy, during the gestation period. And the boars will get that same diet. And then, very important in the farrowing house, the lactating cells. They must eat as much as possible, because they have to maintain their own body, but they have to produce a lot of milk. And I mean a lot of milk. If they have 16 piglets suckling, they must produce actually more milk than they cannot actually eat enough to do that, especially with the young females, with their first litters. They are just physically not big enough to eat enough. But we are trying to get as much into them as possible, and the lactation diet will be high in specifications in terms of protein, energy, and so forth.
All right, we're moving on to the fourth pillar, which is health. So an animal that's healthy will also perform and produce optimally. How can a farmer ensure that his pigs are healthy?
The health of the piglets and the mature pigs, it's very, very important. Especially nowadays with the disease challenges. You have to have protocols in place for biosecurity. If I can just quickly refer to biosecurity, when entering a farm, you should be pig-free for a couple of days before you may enter another farm. You have to go through a shower. You can take nothing with you. You will get clean clothes on the other side. And if you go out for lunch, you will go through a shower again, returning after lunch, the same procedure. So in my case, it's sometimes a bit of a struggle. They do not necessarily have big enough boots for me on the other side, but that's my problem. But biosecurity is so important. And then there's a couple of other things like a vaccination program and a health program with certain antibiotics and things that you can use for certain diseases. But about the health plan, the vaccination program, you must definitely first talk to your veterinarian, your consulting veterinarian, because it will be very farm specific. Not all the farms have to vaccinate against all the possible diseases.
Yes.
Important to talk to your vet, but very important to keep your herds as healthy as possible, because then they will produce and reproduce.
Yes. Albert, we are done now with the fourth pillar. It's health. We've done genetics, we've done nutrition, we've done environment. The last pillar is management. So a pig farmer or a pig farm manager is not only the one looking after the pigs. He needs to have skill in people management, in maintenance, in marketing, in so many different things. What would you say is the most important skill, or one or two skills that you think is most important for a pig farmer to have?
Yeah, sure. We have a shortage of good managers in South Africa, because they must have a lot of special skills. And just to mention a few, it must preferably a person that's well educated in the science of pig farming. He or she must be well experienced. And record keeping is so important because in Afrikaans we say, om te meet is om te weet. So you have to measure a lot of things. There's a lot of records. There's record programs. And somebody that's not capable of keeping good records can't be a good manager.
Yeah.
And then, very important, it's an intensive operation. So there's a lot of people working for you. So you need special skills with people. And in general, all the management stuff from people skills to marketing skills. He must actually be a jack of all trades, he or she. We have a lot of females in the pig industry that are doing very, very well. But it's a special person. And maybe the last that I can point out is hardworking, because it's an operation that runs 7 days a week during holidays, and every 7 days there's 2 weekend days included there. But the pigs are not asking questions, they need feed and cure and management every day.
It's a very dedicated person to fill that role. All right, that was the 5 pillars. Before we end off, I just want to ask Albert 5 fire questions. Albert, bush or a sea holiday?
Sure, difficult one. I like the sea, but I will say the bush because I really like the bush.
Now here's a trick question for you, cattle or pigs?
You're asking difficult questions. I like the pigs, but the people who know me, I actually love cattle.
Who is your celebrity look-alike?
Sure, I don't have these skills, but I heard that people say it's Chuck Norris.
Yes, I can 100% agree with that one. What is the most important lesson you've learned in life?
I would say work hard, work intelligent, be honest, and you will succeed.
And then the last one, what is your biggest passion?
Livestock farming.
There you have it. Thank you so much, Albert, for your time and for chatting to us. And if you watch up until this point, remember to comment in the comment section below the number 5 that will refer to the 5 pillars of pig farming. This is the end of this session of the Pig Talk. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated on all the talks that we have on everything and anything pigs. Until next time.